and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll call it to order. The first order of business is to approve the meeting minutes from January 9th.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion, we approve minutes of the previous meeting, January 9th, as presented.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next up is the bills.
General fund, $6,374,112.57. Liquid fuels fund, $1,536.61. Hazardous material, $4,719.42. 911 fund, $17,814.35. Community development block grant, $1,650. Domestic relations, $2,236.24. And children and youth, $921,861.65, for a total of $7,323,930.84.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the bills as presented?
So moved.
And second?
All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
All right. The next item on the agenda is personnel issues. We have 4 new hires. There's CO at the jail, effective 1/15. The DC2 and the prothonotary clerk of courts, effective 1/22. A part-time security guard here, effective 1/22. And then another CO at the jail, effective 1/22. No separations, transfers, or FMLA requests. Is there a motion to approve the same?
I'll make a motion to approve the listed personnel changes.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, public comment. Anybody here for public comment? All right, sir, you have 3 minutes.
Are you going to start
I
that
am.
when I speak?
It is started now.
Okay. Last September, I was here with regard to the county commissioners and the, what I call hiding or keeping from the taxpayers of Clearfield County, the annual surpluses that were being realized by the county. The reporter from Gant Daily had a headline saying the county commissioners dispelled the rumor of hiding money. I'm here today with proof that they did indeed hide money over 21 and 22. If you want to follow along on the spreadsheet I hand out, I see you're smiling, but at the end of 12/31/22, Clearfield County, in just the general fund checking accounts, 2 of them, had a balance of $6.8 million. During December the 2nd of 22, Commissioners Sobel and Glass transferred $2 million from the general fund, $1 million each, one to the operating reserve fund, one to the capital reserve fund. If that transfer hadn't taken place, the balances just in the 2 general fund checking accounts would have been $8.8 million. Aside from that, in 2021, the commissioners transferred $1.5 million from the general fund checking accounts, $1 million to the operating reserve fund, and $500,000 to the capital reserve fund. If those transfers hadn't been made, the balance in the 12/31/21 account would have been $5,636,000 in just 2 general fund accounts. However, The county general fund accounts aren't just those two accounts labeled general fund accounts. They also include the balances in domestic relation, both the regular account and the incentive account. Okay? It includes the balance in the children and youth fund, and that because of the transfer, the county commissioners now have $2 million in an operating reserve fund. The total of those funds at the end of '23 was $8,504,000.
That's your 3 minutes, sir.
You're gonna cut me off
3 minutes.
and
That's what-
silence me.
3 minutes.
We have a
That's
whole
all.
room of people that want to get up and talk, and you're going to silence me.
3
That's all
minutes.
right, because this information is going to be published. I'm going to recommend
Your 3
strongly
minutes are over, sir. Please sit down.
amend the budget and reduce taxes by 5 mils.
Does anybody else wish to be here for public comment? Yes, sir. What's your name, sir?
My name's Robert Long. And thank you. Gentlemen, when Tony Yankovic is not doing anything wrong, and his numbers, he said, simply cannot be dismissed outright. My question to the commissioners is simply this. Can the commissioners identify for me the specific language found in the county code that grants it to authority to levy taxes for no additional taxes for no clearly defined reason other than what would appear to be stockpiling cash reserves that appear to be well in excess of long-standing rules and guidelines, and with no publicly identified upcoming need for which those reserves will need to be expended. Now, never lose sight of the fact that your county is dying. Let's face it, half the town's on Social Security and the other half's on relief, and it's aging. I'm 70 years old. I get along well, thanks to the fact that I've got enough titanium in me to make yourself a set of golf clubs. And what you're doing appeared to be due here. If Tony's correct, you're not helping things. You're not going to postpone the inevitable county's inevitable date with Act 47. And when he said it comes to that day, and it is determined that the counties that has not done a very good job when it comes to its budgetary formulation. So what I suggest you do, if this is real, and I've got reason to not to dispute anything the man is saying, I strongly encourage the county to get every aspect of its operations back to within well-established and long-established rules and guidelines, and then let the fate of the county be up to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Now, he said that the prospects for it are about as bleak as it's ever been. It's not going to get any better, and this county cannot go chasing speculative growth opportunities. But yet, he said his fate is going to likely to end up in someone else's hands. So just in the meantime, make sure you're doing things in accordance with the rule and spirit of the law. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we will move on. We have, under old business, we have the agreement with Meshack Recovery Center. If you gentlemen remember, we tabled this last time around. You've looked this over?
I have. This is for services that are provided out at the jail. We've worked with them and now are memorializing our agreement with them. Just to refresh the commissioners, this will dedicate services at a minimum of 12 hours per month at a rate of $200 per visit to help with medically assisted treatment as needed. There is a 60-day termination. There was some other language in the contract that we were able to resolve since the last meeting. So it's been approved as to its form now this morning.
All right. And then we've had a chance to look at it. Do we have a motion to approve this?
I will make a motion that we approve the agreement with Meshack Recovery Center Incorporated.
And I will second it.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to thank Solicitor Bozovich for her efforts at making those changes as needed and getting that up to date. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for that. Sure. And then under new business, item number 1 is proclaimed February 7th through 14th as National Marriage Week. And we have Leanne Hutton.
Good morning. I will just do a quick snapshot of what our program is, since you already have the proclamation. My name's Leanne Hutton. I'm from Children's Aid Society. I am the program manager of Together. What we do is we focus on promoting healthy relationships in our community. We serve adult couples ages 18 and up. Couples are not required to be married. They just have to be in a committed relationship. So some of the topics that that our program promotes would be active listening, positive communication, problem solving, and addressing unrealistic expectations in a relationship. My goodness. So after the completion of the relationship education workshop, participants can then take our financial education workshop, as well as our parenting education workshop. We offer that in other aspects of our agency as well. That's important to note. But at these workshops, we provide free meals, free gas cards, free childcare for in-person workshops to help eliminate any barriers that might prevent a couple from attending the workshop. So we do have 4 coming up. You can find those on our website, or you can give us a phone call and we can tell you all about that. We have an in-person one in Phillipsburg, and then 3 virtual ones coming up on different dates. If you have any questions, just let me know.
All right. I do have a proclamation here, and I'll read into the record briefly. Whereas marriage binds couples together and is the outward visible sign of a couple's desire to create a lasting life and provide the support necessary for the growth of healthy children and a healthy family. Mounting scientific evidence confirms the best environment for children to flourish is being raised by parents in healthy marriages rather than unhealthy marriages or by single or cohabitating parents. And these children demonstrate less behavioral problems in school, are less likely to be a victim of abuse, less likely to abuse drugs, less likely to commit delinquent behaviors, have a better relationship with their parents, are less likely to become pregnant as teens or impregnate someone, and have a decreased chance of divorcing when they get married, and are less likely to be raised in poverty. Healthy marriages protect adults as well as children, mothers as well as fathers. Research indicates that women in healthy relationships experience more physical and emotional health, more wealth, are less likely to be victims of domestic violence, assault, or other violent crimes, less likely to attempt or commit suicide, have decreased risk of drug abuse, and are less likely to remain or end up in poverty, and more likely to have better relationships with their children. Research also indicates the same for men. They are likely to live longer, be physically and emotionally healthier, wealthier, and have increased stability, decreased risk of drug and alcohol abuse, better relationships with their children, less likely to commit or attempt suicide. Therefore, whereas we acknowledge the importance of lasting, healthy marriage to be the well-being of children, therefore to the future of our community, we recognize that our community benefits from having a high percentage of couples in healthy relationships. We note higher rates of physically healthy citizens, higher rates of emotionally healthy citizens, higher rates of educated citizens, lower domestic violence rates, lower crime, lower teenage pregnancy, lower rates of juvenile delinquency, higher rates of home ownership, higher property values, and overall decreased need of social services. Recent advances in research have helped us identify the behaviors and skills necessary for healthy relationship. Therefore, be it resolved, the Commissioners of Clearfield County, in consideration of all these important values, do hereby proclaim February 7th through February 14th as National Marriage Week in the County of Clearfield. Do I have a motion to approve?
I will make a motion that we proclaim February 7th to, what's the following? 14th as National Marriage Week in Clearfield County.
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes,
Any
we
opposed?
sign one, so Leanne can have
Yep,
one.
sure.
Wanna get it?
And thank you,
You
Leanne.
want
Yeah.
a photo?
Want a photo?
Where did my notes go? Our program.
Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
All right. Item number 2 is reconsider Resolution 2024 number 1 to participate in the Department of Transportation DOT Grants Program.
And maybe I didn't word that correctly. The resolution is correct, but the agreement that they provided me was not the correct agreement. I don't really think anything changed. I think they just gave me the incorrect year version.
but they suggested that we redo it and have them dated the same date.
They would
So-
like both the dates, so I would
Yes.
just say a motion to reapprove resolution 2024 effective this date.
Reapprove resolution 2024 number 1, okay?
I
And the
will,
agreement.
And the
And
agreement.
the agreement.
I will make that motion to reapprove Resolution 2024, number 1,
Then I
To-
will, oh, sorry,
to participate in the Pennsylvania Department Dot Grants Program and the agreement.
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item number 3 is a memorandum of understanding between North Central Pennsylvania Regional Planning and Development Commission for the Chester Hill Borough Reconnecting Our Communities Mobility Study.
Jody's here.
Jody?
Thank you. Just a little background history. If you'll recall, over a year and a half ago, the county commissioners had done an infrastructure survey to look at ways that maybe the county's ARPA monies, which is American Rescue Program monies, could be used to match some priority infrastructure projects. And there were over 70 projects and over $90-some million worth of needs out there. And a majority of them were bridges, followed by water, sewer, roads, drainage. And one of the needs that were identified, but there wasn't a project for our consideration, was related to Chester Hill Borough. And you've just probably seen them in the paper quite a bit recently with the state closing Prescott Bridge, which is a state-owned bridge. They've lost connectivity between Chester Hill Borough and Phillipsburg Borough. It's put a lot of more traffic on the local roads for Chester Hill Borough. There's been more conflicts between the pedestrians, and there's heavy traffic. And if you've noticed, there's more development along 53 there as well. So they're having issues with the increased traffic, and small borough, low tax revenue available. So PennDOT has been working with them. They pulled in North Central Regional Planning Office, who does a lot of grant writing for the municipalities, and they pulled our office in as well, our planning office, to come up with some kind of solution. So one of the barriers to a lot of municipalities is they just don't have a construction-ready project to go. They need a professional to come in, look at the issues, put together a plan of action, and put together some type of cost estimate to put the project together. So what we did, Amy and I from North Central put together a narrative that was submitted to PennDOT requesting supplemental planning dollars, which PennDOT expedited for us, and we were just notified that they would award funding for us to do such a study. And in fact, it was in the amount of the whole project would be $40,000. They would give us federal funding of $32,000. There would be an $8,000 required match. What the study would do, like I said, would take a look at those priority roads, come up with a plan of action, and there would be the final deliverable would be, here's some specific projects for each of the roads of what needs to be done, because they need to look at widening for some of the roads, they need to look at pedestrian safety, etc. But the municipality is, very small tax base, so I'm coming for you today to ask if you would consider with some of those ARPA monies, if you would provide the match, which is $8,000. And that would give them a good start and put them in a really good position to go after funding to do construction. And looking at the transportation dollars, the federal transportation funding programs that are out there, they look at municipalities' vulnerabilities, they look at their funding, and looking at all of those criteria, they are really lined up as a disadvantaged community, which is bad, but good, because now they're a priority for funding. So this would really put them in a good position, and they could actually go after. So I've committed, along with North Central, to continue, and PennDOT, to continue to work with them. But once they've identified these projects, we'd work as a team to find the best funding to actually do construction on these projects. So that's what we've got before your consideration. The funding would actually come to be awarded to North Central. They would, through a memorandum of understanding, which I did provide to you, Heather, and to the commissioners. I have a copy here for you too, Lisa, and a scope of work. They would, similar to what we're doing with the county comprehensive plan, they would just invoice you for that amount of money if you decide that you would contribute the match. So
So-
pretty simple process.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So your position and your thought is that they're already pretty well positioned because of,
The factors.
the disadvantaged factors, but this will really add to their ability to potentially get some funding to
Yes.
take care of these
At this
problems.
point, they can't go for construction monies
Okay.
because they have to have the engineering done.
Okay,
So this would provide them with all the engineering. There will be open communication. There's gonna be a public input process where, so the residents, because I know they've had a lot of concerns, and this area is in a special flood area, so we know there's drainage issues, et cetera. So they'll work with the municipality. The municipality's already communicated with us some of their priorities. And I think bringing a professional in, they'll be able to tell them, yes, you can do this, or did you think about this? Because this would be a great alternative to addressing that issue. So they would have that professional working with them to come up with a solution that best fits that community and make that connectivity back between those two communities. Because the people every day work, they shop, they recreate between the two communities. And they just kind of got, with that bridge closing, there's been more of a impact to the local roads.
all right.
Well, I'd be happy to make a motion that we execute the memorandum of understanding to partner with North Central to hire the employee, the expert to do the community mobility study.
And I will second that.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I think this is a
Thank
good
you,
use of
Jody.
those
All right,
funds.
thank you.
Thank you, Jody.
All righty. And item 4, consider ordinance to create a county land bank and designate the redevelopment authority of Clearfield County as the Clearfield County Land Bank. Lisa?
Good morning. So I'm here before you this morning to ask that you adopt an ordinance that would create a land bank and actually designate the redevelopment authority as that land bank. Kind of not creating another government entity, but helping and assisting two in one. So it'll still be governed by the board of directors, the same board of directors. The creation of a land bank in Clearfield County is something that has been discussed and analyzed since 2014. A land bank is developed as a government entity, and it helps address and adapt to vacant, abandoned, and tax delinquent properties and change them into more of a productive use. That's similar to what we're already doing as a redevelopment authority, and the land bank does not have power of eminent domain, although the redevelopment authority would. Under Pennsylvania land bank law, counties and or eligible municipalities may create and designate this authority to their already acting redevelopment authorities. Our redevelopment authority here in Clearfield County was reactivated in 2020, and since then we've assisted 8 municipalities, which would be Clearfield, Colport, Kernsville, and Mahaffey boroughs, along with the townships of Bigler, Boggs, Morris, and Lawrence townships. And with that, we've acquired 7 properties. We've raised 10 properties, and of those properties, 3 are still held by municipalities, 3 are currently for sale, and 4 have been sold to private individuals or private developers and are now back on our tax base here in Clearfield County. Additionally, we currently have 1 demolition out to bid, which is known as the Brody's Building. We'll be opening those bids tomorrow. We're preparing to purchase 3 blighted properties right now for the first half of 2024. Given regulations that we must follow, one might say that that average of 3 per year is good, but I say not so. We know from our study in 2014 we have over 323 blighted vacant properties here across Clearfield County. Municipalities are working with the municipalities we're working with have a large amount of vacant abandoned properties with no to little tax market value to them. Oftentimes, this market value exceeds, or oftentimes the tax base that's owed to the county, to the municipality, and to the school districts is higher than the market value of the properties. So you can see that they're in a lose-lose situation. These delinquent taxes put a burden on all of our residents. They put a burden on the county, local municipalities, and the school districts. And thus we see our taxes increasing, the millage going up, and our school taxes increasing. Land bank law will give the redevelopment authority the ability to acquire more tax delinquent properties, to clear titles more readily, and give them a clean market value and clean up these properties. With the adoption of this county ordinance under land bank law, Clearfield County can designate the redevelopment authority to act as their land bank. In turn, this gives the redevelopment authority the power to acquire property at low or no cost through judicial sales using a priority bid. We will hold the properties and clear them tax-free, extinguish the tax liens on the property as its own, and expedite a quiet title. In turn, the land bank would then market these clean properties to private developers and individuals for community needs such as additional housing, additional green space, and business expansion. This move has no financial obligation or burden on the county or its taxpayers. The redevelopment authority / land bank would continue to operate on public and private grants and proceeds from the sale of our leases. And as you know, it may cost us $20,000 to $30,000 to acquire, raise the property, where we would get just the market value of the land back, which would be probably $10,000. So it's not a program. Redevelopment Authority is not making money. With this ordinance, Clearfield County has the ability to designate the land bank under a current governmental entity, as I had mentioned when we opened, giving the governing board of directors. The mission of land banks in Pennsylvania is to convert vacant, abandoned, and tax delinquent properties to productive use. Addressing such properties in the county will in turn allow the redevelopment authority to meet its mission, which is creating healthy and safe and prosperous neighborhoods across Clearfield County.
One question, and we obviously you've discussed the possibility of this with us before. Do you know offhand how many counties have a land bank ordinance now?
Yeah, there's about 19 right now.
Okay. So it's not like we're out over our skis and we're the first ones or one of the first couple. I mean, this has been going on and been leading to some success around the state,
Yeah.
I believe, so.
Yeah, and I would say since legislation passed land bank law, what's happened is you have to have a municipality of 10,000 or more. There isn't a municipality in the county of 10,000 more, and partnerships have not turned out to join to create a land bank authority, primarily because there's no money to run it. So tying it together with the redevelopment authority allows us to have that additional money to run it.
And I can certainly say as the commissioner representative on the redevelopment authority, that this is something the redevelopment authority is very excited about. If the county would agree to permit the development of a land bank with the redevelopment authority, because so many of our small municipalities, as you just mentioned, Lisa, don't have the financial wherewithal, don't have the manpower to be able to deal with some issues that are causing a great deal of stress. You know, if I had a dime for every small municipal meeting I've been to where somebody within the community comes and complains about a blighted property and expects the municipal government to do something about it, and they just don't have the ability or the finances to do that. It's a very, very useful tool, and it really, it's a surprising instance where government takes action and gives another element of government quite a bit of flexibility of how to go about dealing with blight, and becomes a very useful tool, so.
All right, I'll agree with the other commissioners here. Thank you for your diligence in putting this together. This is it's another tool that will smooth the process. We can get rid of some blighted properties, transition them back into the private hands, into tax-paying properties, and at no immediate cost to the county. No, thank you for your work and effort. This should be a win-win situation for everybody involved.
And before you close, I will say, given a true picture of what's happening without land bank law, 2.5, maybe 3 years ago, there was a property up for judicial sale that I was working with Clearfield Borough on to acquire and raise. That property has been a nuisance to its neighbors and actually has vermin living in it. It's not in any condition. I went to the judicial sale as the redevelopment authority and was outbid on the property. I took it up to $4,000, knowing that I had to answer to my board of directors of how much money I was putting into it and its market value as it sat. And it was taken up to over $10,000, which is unheard of, and the entity was of New York City, New York. That's what's happening in all of our smaller counties. Then it was resold to someone local, and it's still sitting the same way. I want to say the same way it is. The lawn is now cut, and the windows that were broken are now boarded up. But it's been 3 years, and that property is still sitting right here in Clearfield Borough in disrepair. So enacting this ordinance is going to allow us to move before public entity, or before private, to be able to acquire these properties that we need to acquire and then offer them to private.
Have you had a chance to look this over?
I have. I was provided with a draft. I've made a few modifications for the county. I think that was an excellent history and the purpose of the land law. And to play off one of the questions, several counties have enacted, and the majority, if not all, I don't want to say all, have used their redevelopment authorities as their as the appointee under this. The ordinance has been advertised, so it is able to be acted on today officially to become effective.
And just so people are clear, this is not the redevelopment authority taking on and holding properties and trying to amass real estate hold. That is not the intent. This is to get them to generate money back to continue this, make it a self-funding project. You want to get these properties back into private hands, back onto the tax rolls.
Certainly,
Okay.
certainly. We're
I
a
just,
conduit
so,
to private
I didn't
development.
want I didn't want there to be any property rights concerns or any of that. This is not any kind of a land grab. This is just, it is a process to smooth out the legal process to get it back into private hands.
Correct.
Thank you.
And I believe it'll be ordinance 1 of 2024.
Number 1. All right. Well, I'll entertain a motion then to approve ordinance number 1.
I will make a motion that we approve ordinance number, what is it,
1.
One, to creating a Clearfield County Land Bank and designating the redevelopment authority of Clearfield County as the land bank.
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
All right. Item 5, consider the reappointment of Janine Swisher to the Clearfield County Industrial Development Authority. I know we had received her interest in being reappointed. I believe she's only done one full term, plus I think maybe a small piece of an appointment. So is there a motion to reappoint her?
I will make that in the form of a motion to reappoint Janine Swisher to the Clearfield County Industrial Development Authority.
I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 6, Chris Nasuti indicated his interest in being on the Clearfield Jefferson Regional Airport Authority. I know we had a chance to discuss with him a little bit last week, and he's still interested, so I will entertain a motion to appoint him to that board.
Yeah, I and I think we were very impressed with his answers to any questions we had, so I'll certainly make a motion that we appoint Chris Nasuti to the Clearfield Jefferson Regional Airport Authority.
And I will second that and thank both Mr. Nasuti and Ms. Swisher for their interest in serving on boards and authorities and bringing their areas of expertise to them.
All righty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 7 is a lease agreement with Doing Better Business for copier in the Prothonotari's office.
It is a 5-year lease for $180.71 per month. It's our standard lease with Doing Better Business. One of the only changes from prior agreements is our IT department will be able to do some of the work, so we will not need a connectivity agreement. And I believe that's already been discussed and approved by both the Prothonotary and Doing Better Business.
Sounds good. Do I have a
And everything is conforming and.
Yes.
do I have a motion to approve the lease agreement with Doing Better Business?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And item 8, consider transportation plan with the Clearfield Area School District.
This is one of our standard plans that as part of
CYS.
As part of CYS, we have to have an agreement with all of our local schools. No changes to prior, it just sets forth the plan for how children in placement will be transported if necessary and the proper contacts.
I will make this in the form of a motion with the note that this is a yearly agreement that we have to do.
Yes.
So a motion to approve the transportation plan with the Clearfield Area School District.
And I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Solicitors report.
I have nothing additional this morning.
All right. And I see this note. Is this a precinct change?
Yes.
You talked.
Okay.
You wanted to mention, 'cause I
So
wasn't there.
the election office asked me to announce that the Clearfield 4th polling place is going to be relocated from Living Bread Ministries, which is on Daisy Street, to the Emmanuel Church on Dory Street.
And I know that last year Living Bread had some concerns and really didn't
Right.
want to continue hosting, so we're honoring their request to not do that. Anything else for the good of the order, gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
Hearing
No,
nothing-
sir.
Hearing nothing, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And second at 11:06.
All those in